Attention. Pay attention to something. Pay attention to something. Give your attention to something. Give your attention to something. Babies cry when they want attention. Babies cry when they want attention. You need to pay attention in class. You need to pay attention in class. Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? He loves being the center of attention. He loves being the center of attention. I could tell that he wasn't giving me his attention. I could tell that he wasn't giving me his attention. You have my full attention. You have my full attention. Bite. Don't let the dog bite me. Don't let the dog bite me. He's a lovely dog. He won't bite. He's a lovely dog. He won't bite. I was bitten by a snake when I was a child. I was bitten by a snake when I was a child. I accidentally bit my own tongue. I accidentally bit my own tongue. Stop biting your fingernails. Stop biting your fingernails. Chase. Give chase. Give chase. The children chased each other round the garden. The children chased each other round the garden. Our dog spends all his time chasing cats. Our dog spends all his time chasing cats. Police were chasing two of the criminals. Police were chasing two of the criminals. They chased me down the street. They chased me down the street. Chemical. Industrial chemicals. Industrial chemicals. A lot of chemicals from the factory went into the river. A lot of chemicals from the factory went into the river. Some chemicals can damage the environment. Some chemicals can damage the environment. Farm workers were using dangerous chemicals. Farm workers were using dangerous chemicals. Most farmers put chemicals on their fields. Most farmers put chemicals on their fields. Climb. We slowly climbed the hill. We slowly climbed the hill. I'd like to climb Mount Everest one day. I'd like to climb Mount Everest one day. We climbed the stairs all the way up to the top of the cathedral. We climbed the stairs all the way up to the top of the cathedral. I had to climb up a ladder to clean the upstairs windows. I had to climb up a ladder to clean the upstairs windows. Crowded. The crowded streets of Shanghai. The crowded streets of Shanghai. I got onto a crowded train. I got onto a crowded train. It gets crowded here in the summer. It gets crowded here in the summer. We went into a crowded bar. We went into a crowded bar. The streets were crowded with shoppers. The streets were crowded with shoppers. The bomb went off in a crowded shopping area. The bomb went off in a crowded shopping area. Empty. Full of something. Full of something. The house is empty. The house is empty. An empty glass. An empty glass. My suitcase is empty. My suitcase is empty. An empty road. An empty road. The restaurant was empty when we arrived. The restaurant was empty when we arrived. Farmer. A dairy farmer. A dairy farmer. A pig farmer. A pig farmer. Some farmers give their cows names. Some farmers give their cows names. It's a hard life being a farmer. It's a hard life being a farmer. Lots of farmers use chemicals these days. Lots of farmers use chemicals these days. Field. A field of potatoes. A field of potatoes. I enjoy walking in the fields near my house. I enjoy walking in the fields near my house. From the train window, we saw fields with cows in them. From the train window, we saw fields with cows in them. Cattle were grazing in the field. Cattle were grazing in the field. Forecast. A weather forecast. A weather forecast. A weather forecaster. A weather forecaster. Did you check the weather forecast? Did you check the weather forecast? The forecast is for rain in the afternoon. The forecast is for rain in the afternoon. What's the weather forecast for the weekend? What's the weather forecast for the weekend? Did you see the forecast for tomorrow? Did you see the forecast for tomorrow? The forecast said a storm was going to hit us tomorrow. The forecast said a storm was going to hit us tomorrow. The latest sales forecast. The latest sales forecast. Icy. He lost control of the car on an icy road. He lost control of the car on an icy road. Take a coat, it's icy outside. Take a coat, it's icy outside. The path up to the house was very icy. The path up to the house was very icy. Buses stopped running because of icy roads. Buses stopped running because of icy roads. Jump. He jumped off the wall. He jumped off the wall. We jumped into the pool. We jumped into the pool. The dog jumped over the fence. The dog jumped over the fence. How high can you jump? How high can you jump? It's too high to jump from here. It's too high to jump from here. Let someone do something. Let someone do something. Don't let the dog bite me. Don't let the dog bite me. I rang the bell and waited for someone to let me in. I rang the bell and waited for someone to let me in. They wouldn't let me see my grandfather when he was in hospital. They wouldn't let me see my grandfather when he was in hospital. I'll let you have the car tonight if you buy some petrol. I'll let you have the car tonight if you buy some petrol. Rubbish. A rubbish tip. A rubbish tip. A rubbish bin. A rubbish bin. Put your rubbish in the bin in the corner. Put your rubbish in the bin in the corner. The streets were full of rubbish. The streets were full of rubbish. Please do not leave rubbish here. Please do not leave rubbish here. Our rubbish is collected every Monday. Our rubbish is collected every Monday. Scared. Be scared of something. Be scared of something. I'm scared of spiders. I'm scared of spiders. There's no need to be scared. There's no need to be scared. I thought I heard someone downstairs and got really scared. I thought I heard someone downstairs and got really scared. She was scared that she'd fall into the water. She was scared that she'd fall into the water. Smell. The meat smells bad. The meat smells bad. Those flowers smell lovely. Those flowers smell lovely. The food smells delicious. The food smells delicious. The kitchen smells fishy. The kitchen smells fishy. Surrounded. Surrounded by something. Surrounded by something. The city is surrounded by nice countryside. The city is surrounded by nice countryside. The old town is surrounded by walls. The old town is surrounded by walls. She was surrounded by hundreds of music fans. She was surrounded by hundreds of music fans. The fields were surrounded by woods and hills. The fields were surrounded by woods and hills. Top. On top of something. On top of something. He climbed up to the top of the hill. He climbed up to the top of the hill. The bathroom is at the top of the stairs. The bathroom is at the top of the stairs. Can you see that bird on top of the roof? Can you see that bird on top of the roof? He hid it on top of the wardrobe. He hid it on top of the wardrobe. Wall. For prisoners jumped over the wall and escaped. For prisoners jumped over the wall and escaped. They replaced the wooden fence with a brick wall. They replaced the wooden fence with a brick wall. I climbed onto a wall at the edge of the field. I climbed onto a wall at the edge of the field. She jumped down off the wall. She jumped down off the wall. We put up a painting on the wall yesterday. We put up a painting on the wall yesterday. Windy. Windy weather. Windy weather. A windy day. A windy day. It's windy outside. It's windy outside. It's been very wet and windy recently. It's been very wet and windy recently. It was another windy day. It was another windy day. Expect the weather to get very windy by the end of the week. Expect the weather to get very windy by the end of the week. Windy conditions made the bike ride home harder than usual. Windy conditions made the bike ride home harder than usual. Flooding. If the rain continues, there might be some flooding tonight. If the rain continues, there might be some flooding tonight. The station is closed because of flooding. The station is closed because of flooding. Flooding caused serious damage to the school. Flooding caused serious damage to the school. The town had its worst flooding since 2003. The town had its worst flooding since 2003. Invite. Invite someone to something. Invite someone to something. Let's invite Paul and Elizabeth to dinner. Let's invite Paul and Elizabeth to dinner. We've been invited to a party at our neighbor's house. We've been invited to a party at our neighbor's house. She wanted to invite 100 people to the wedding. She wanted to invite 100 people to the wedding. She invited me in for a cup of coffee. She invited me in for a cup of coffee. It was very kind of you to invite me. It was very kind of you to invite me. Pull down. They're pulling down the old church. They're pulling down the old church. They're going to pull down the old cinema. They're going to pull down the old cinema. The gallery was pulled down in 1858. The gallery was pulled down in 1858. The house where I grew up was pulled down last year. The house where I grew up was pulled down last year. Reach. The temperature reached 35 degrees yesterday afternoon. The temperature reached 35 degrees yesterday afternoon. The population of China reached 1 billion in 1982. The population of China reached 1 billion in 1982. Unemployment reached 10%. Unemployment reached 10%. We finally reached the top of the mountain. We finally reached the top of the mountain. Reason. Did you have a reason for inviting them? Did you have a reason for inviting them? I'm not ringing you for any reason. I just wanted a chat. What was the reason for your decision? What was the reason for your decision? What is the reason for this behavior? What is the reason for this behavior? Showing. There are showings at 3, 5:15, 7:30 and 10. There are showings at 3, 5:15, 7:30 and 10. I went to the early showing at the local cinema. I went to the early showing at the local cinema. The first showing is at 4 o'clock. The first showing is at 4 o'clock. There's a showing at 8. There's a showing at 8. The 4 o'clock showing is too early for me. The 4 o'clock showing is too early for me. Spring. A lovely spring day. A lovely spring day. Spring is my favorite time of year. Spring is my favorite time of year. We're going camping in the spring. We're going camping in the spring. It's often quite warm here in spring. It's often quite warm here in spring. We had a wet spring last year. We had a wet spring last year. Wet. The towel was very wet. The towel was very wet. Careful, the floor's wet. Careful, the floor's wet. Another wet weekend in Manchester. Another wet weekend in Manchester. It's going to be wet tomorrow. It's going to be wet tomorrow. We're going to have a wet summer. We're going to have a wet summer.